Enzo Maresca's recent post-match outburst after the win against Everton have taken a new twist. Check this out from the Athletics. Exclusive: Enzo Maresca high among candidates Manchester City considering in case Pep Guardiola exits next summer. Manchester City Football Club advancing contingency work for possibility of manager change. 45-year-old Chelsea Football Club coach prominent alongside other potential options. The report went on to say, breaking: Enzo Maresca high on list of potential replacements for Pep Guardiola at Manchester City in case Guardiola exits this summer. Interesting. This is still coming from the recent outburst of Enzo Maresca. And so the crack in Chelsea is what has created all these speculations about Enzo Maresca's future in Chelsea. But then, talking about Pep Guardiola and exit, I think, in my opinion, it's long overdue. Pep Guardiola joined Manchester City in 2016 and has spent over 9 years in the club, with 18 major trophies to his name, including an unprecedented treble in 2022-2023 league season, where Pep Guardiola won the Premier League, the FA Cup, and the UEFA Champions League. Pep Guardiola, under his reign as Manchester City, have won 6 Premier League titles with 4 consecutive top-flight football trophies. Arguably, Pep Guardiola is one of the greatest managers in the English Premier League and the greatest in the history of Manchester City Football Club. So, in my opinion, talking about Pep Guardiola exit, it's long overdue. He ought to have left when the ovation was loudest. And when was the ovation loudest? When Pep Guardiola won the treble with Manchester City in 2022-2023 league season. Pep Guardiola actually have a low turn down in his career at Manchester City in his first season, where he actually went trophyless. But after that first season, Pep Guardiola have gone blazing in the English Premier League, defied the English Premier League that has once upon a time had an argument and a debate that no club has won the Premier League 3 consecutive times. But Pep Guardiola, coming to Manchester City, defied the EPL, went on to win the English Premier League 4 consecutive times in a row. One of the greatest managers in the history of the league. So I think if Pep Guardiola position at Manchester City is actually on the brink of him leaving the club by the end of the season, even though he's still tied down to contract beyond the summer. But then, in my opinion, Pep Guardiola exiting Manchester City is long overdue. But the report actually said something, in case, so which definitely means that there is nothing concrete about Pep Guardiola exit yet. So we'll still be waiting to see by the end of the season if Pep Guardiola still remains Manchester City manager. But Ben Jacobs went on to give us a detail of what is actually happening. Check this out from Ben Jacobs. Enzo Maresca is understood to be a candidate for Manchester City job, with its possible Pep Guardiola leave this summer. Chelsea declined to comment. Maresca is contracted until 2030, and any approach for him would need to take place via Chelsea and require significant compensation. Manchester City Football Club sources note Pep is contracted beyond the summer and refused to be drawn on speculation. Chelsea want to keep Maresca, and a pre-planned review in his performance is set for this summer. Maresca's comment after Everton on it being his worst 48 hours at Chelsea have puzzled several at the club. Unclear if driven by a potential vacancy at his former club. Understand, some of Maresca's frustration have been brewing for a while, although Chelsea insider insists it was an emotional reaction to a big win. In my opinion, I beg to disagree. There was nothing emotional about the win against Everton. No doubt we came into that particular game on the back of 4 games without a win, while Everton was definitely flying high, so we only expected a tough encounter. And at the end, the job was done in Stamford Bridge. Cole Palmer actually made it look much more easier, and Chelsea went on to defeat Everton by 2-0. So, with all of this happening, it is clear Pep Guardiola himself doesn't want to be drawn into all of this speculation, because currently as it stands, there are mere rumors and speculation. There is nothing concrete. And Enzo Maresca, on the other hand, is still contracted to Chelsea until 2030, on a £12 million annual salary for the next 5 years. So if there is anything concrete, as the report said, it will definitely be via Chelsea. They will have to come through Chelsea, and huge compensation will need to be paid. But in all of this, Maresca that actually went on to say that after that Everton game, that is worst 48 hours ever at Chelsea Football Club. Definitely, that has actually worried a lot of Chelsea fans, a lot of Chelsea faithfuls, and even some of the board members, and that actually creates lots of panic. And that is actually one thing that has warranted all of these speculations around the future of Enzo Maresca at Chelsea. But let's not take anything away from this speculation. Whether Pep Guardiola is staying after the end of this season or not, be it now or in the future, Manchester City Football Club have Enzo Maresca high on the list to take over Pep Guardiola should he definitely leaves the club. The report went on to say there are tension behind the scene at Chelsea, and I think that has played a part in the report we have seen today. Definitely, it will create panic, it will create tension. For Manchester City to actually show interest on Enzo Maresca, that simply means Enzo Maresca has actually been doing something right. And all Enzo Maresca was actually crying for, brewing to his frustration at Chelsea, was that he lacks the support from the club. And so, it is within this point in time, within this period, with all of this speculation around, we'll get to know how much of a value the club owner holds Enzo Maresca. If they actually still see him as that future manager that they actually went for to replace Mauricio Pochettino. So the report went on to say, City's interest in Maresca will lay down a challenge to Chelsea on how much they actually want to keep him. Absolutely. So, Manchester City coming for Enzo Maresca, a club of that caliber wants our own manager, which definitely means we should value what we have currently. Because if we look at it out there, should Enzo Maresca leave, which manager is Chelsea definitely will be going for? Which manager will Chelsea be going for? So that is a big question. So, to all my viewers, if Enzo Maresca exits Chelsea Football Club, who do you think Chelsea should bring in as the successor to Enzo Maresca? Drop your thoughts down below. The report went on to say, Chelsea have declined to comment on the Maresca City story. Any approach will have to take place via Chelsea and require significant compensation. Maresca is contracted until 2030. Chelsea wants to keep Maresca and always plan to review things in the summer. It's well understood. We all know of that. Chelsea have actually declined any story that is playing between Manchester City and Chelsea regarding Enzo Maresca's future. One thing is clear currently now. Enzo Maresca is contracted to Chelsea until 2030. But another thing that is a fact is that Enzo Maresca's position as Chelsea manager will be reviewed at the end of the season. His performance and what he has done so far in the last 2 years with the club, his achievement and his position currently. Will Enzo Maresca still be willing to stay even at the end of the season, whether he passed the review or not? Will he still be willing to stay? Because for one to have cried out and said, I lack the support from the club, in my opinion, it's an indication as well that he might want to leave, except the club is going to give him that necessary backing that he needs to move on. Max went on to give us a full detail of what is definitely playing out. Could it be something that is being orchestrated by Enzo Maresca in order to create his own exit? Or is it something that looks like a power play in the Chelsea Football Club? Here's what Max went on to say. Understand there is a feeling that recent events may be a power play from Enzo Maresca. Through his work at Chelsea and Jorge Mendes, Maresca has many admirers and interested parties that will snap Chelsea's hand off for their head coach, either in the summer or in the future. Maresca knows this and is putting pressure on the Chelsea higher up to give him more support as well as altering their way of management. He hasn't taken too well to being criticized and is still frustrated about how they refused his centre-back demand last summer, especially after results like Karabakh saw Jorel Ato, who Chelsea pitched as a centre-back, made 2 mistakes which the Chelsea boss felt like he was scapegoated for. Maresca, though, may be upset about it, is not afraid of any threat about a sack should he miss out on target this season because of the admirers he has in the Premier League and abroad. One source said, I wouldn't say he wants to leave Chelsea or is manufacturing his own exit. This is his camp, showing that he is not going to be bossed around by the Chelsea hierarchy. As reported yesterday, Chelsea have a long list of coaches they also admire, seen as part of normal succession planning. Woo! Wait a minute. Something is definitely playing out here. Something is fishing. Okay, now let's take a look at this comment coming from Enzo Maresca's camp. Because, like the report said, it's something that is looking like a power play. Though his work at Chelsea under George Mendes is a different ball game. Because we all know that about some couple of months ago, Enzo Maresca actually changed his agents to George Mendes. And one thing is pretty clear. Whether as a footballer or as a manager, if you have George Mendes at your back, be rest assured you can always strike that big deal you are always looking for. So, in all of this, I wouldn't want to believe as well too that it is a way of Enzo Maresca orchestrating his own exit from Chelsea Football Club. I wouldn't want to believe that. Because all what Enzo Maresca is actually asking for is he wants more support from the club's hierarchy, and as such, he wants the hierarchy to change their management style. Probably the management style of Chelsea owner is something that Enzo Maresca is actually not comfortable with. He wants that liberty, he wants that freedom in order to be able to do his job freely as the head coach of Chelsea. Probably there are certain things he is being restricted about, but then what Enzo Maresca actually wants in all of this, even from the outburst, he said he lacks support. And that is what he's actually looking for. So the Chelsea hierarchy should give him that needed support that he wants as a manager in order to keep moving. So as it stands, Enzo Maresca, the report went on to say Enzo Maresca is not scared of the sack, whether he will be sacked or not at the end of the season after the review. That is a different ball game. But then, with George Mendes behind him, Enzo Maresca is rest assured that he can always secure that next contract that he so desires. It is not only Manchester City that even wants Enzo Maresca. Sometimes there was a report that Juventus, his former club, is actually hiring Enzo Maresca. And it's possible, if it's not Manchester City, it might be Juventus. Who knows? But then, I think at this point in time, like one of the reports said earlier, with Manchester City interest on Enzo Maresca, this is where we will know whether Chelsea hierarchy really values Enzo Maresca's stay as Chelsea head coach. The report went on to say, this is coming from David Newsty, breaking, there is growing anticipation of this being Pep Guardiola's last season at Manchester City, although a firm decision would likely be made closer to the campaign finishing, according to the numerous well-placed sources outside the club. All of this is still speculation. Whether there is growing anticipation that Pep Guardiola is leaving Manchester City at the end of the season, it's a different ballgame entirely. Because Pep Guardiola himself has actually said that he doesn't want to be drawn into all of this speculation. Because for now, whatever we are seeing in the media space are all speculation. So, whether he is leaving or not, by the end of the season, we all will know whether Pep Guardiola will exit Manchester City. But top on their hierarchy, top on their list is Enzo Maresca to take over Manchester City as head coach, should Pep Guardiola leave the club. The report went on to say, and this is coming from Fabrizio Romano, when Pep leaves, he will be involved internally to suggest next best man for Manchester City coach. Appreciation internally has always been there for Maresca. Manchester City's sporting director is Portuguese, and Maresca has decided to change agents to Portuguese super agent George Mendes. So, we have these two elements. What I can say at the moment is Chelsea are not looking to get rid of Maresca at all and are focused on this season. Maresca is under contract and it would require really important compensation in any case. Two things inside this report. Pep Guardiola will be given the opportunity internally to also be part of those that will select who replaces him should he decide to leave at the end of the season. And secondly, Manchester City sporting director is Portuguese. And recently, Enzo Maresca changed his agent to George Mendes, who is also a Portuguese. Something is playing out here. Put one and two together, you can actually see that there is no doubt, it's crystal clear. It's clear like the moon when it's full, that Enzo Maresca might just be the next Manchester City manager should Pep Guardiola leave the club. It's very clear. Whether Pep Guardiola is involved in the selection of whoever takes after him as Manchester City manager is a different ball game. But then, my advice to Pep Guardiola, if you are leaving City, live on a clean sheet. If they want to honor you, they can immortalize your statue in front of Etihad Stadium. But involving in manager's selection, and if it backfires, you will be involved. You will be called upon as one manager that also single-handedly pick who takes over you, and the project fails. This is something that we have witnessed. It has happened before. In 2013, when Sir Alex Ferguson was leaving Manchester United, he was given the opportunity, the privilege also to pick who succeed him. And he went for David Moyes. And Manchester United fans in all were just crying, were just clamoring, the choosing one. And the choosing one actually failed them. That was a wrong foundation that was laid. And ever since then, Manchester United have changed manager upon manager upon manager. And yet, as we speak till this point, nothing is working. All because they get it wrong after over 26 years of Sir Alex Ferguson. The next person to take over Manchester United Football Club as a brand was a David Moyes, who was actually not doing bad with Everton, I must say, but struggling between as a mid-table team, between 8th and 6th position. So, that's a lesson to learn from. So, if you want to leave Manchester City, live on a clean sheet. Let the club honor you in whichever way they will want to honor you. And I think that's just a personal advice and a personal opinion to Pep. So, in all of this, Chelsea fans are asking, what become of us? Who takes over Maresca should he decide to leave and join Manchester City? Fabrizio Romano went on to say, fans have been asking me, in case Maresca was to leave, who could be future option? Chelsea have an appreciation for Liam Rosenio, who is already working in Bluco Group and is doing fantastic job at Strasbourg. It's just an appreciation game at this stage because it's December. City appreciate Maresca. Chelsea appreciate Rosenio because they know him. This appreciation game shouldn't be something that will play up when it comes to management. It shouldn't be, most especially to Chelsea Football Club. We know Bluco is the owner of Chelsea and Strasbourg. If Enzo Maresca decides to leave and join Manchester City, I think we have all the time to actually go out and get his replacement. Let it not be a company promotion thing, because what I see here is Bluco promoting Rosenio from Strasbourg to Chelsea Football Club to take over as Chelsea manager. With all due respect to Rosenio, I don't disrespect him. He's doing a great job in League One at Strasbourg, currently doing very well in the league and currently topping the UEFA Champions League standing in the group phase. He's doing a great job. But then, there is difference between League One and the Premier League, and that is just the point I want to make out here. Let it not be an appreciation thing. For emphasis, I'm saying it. Let it not be an appreciation thing. He's doing very well in League One. Then it shouldn't be someone. If he merits the job, good and fine. Let him take over just the way Enzo Maresca did. Because personally, for one, when Enzo Maresca was coming from Leicester City, leading them from the Championship to the Premiership, I never actually give Enzo Maresca that opportunity. I see him less of a manager, but he went on after the first season. He went on to prove me wrong that he can become a very good manager, and that is just it. The same way I can actually look Rosenio, but one thing I'm actually taking against, let it not be a promotion thing. Don't promote Rosenio from Strasbourg to Chelsea Football Club. If he merits it, then let him get the job and show us what he can give the fans. That is just what we want as a club. So what did you make of all the latest that is surrounding Enzo Maresca's future as Chelsea manager? Do you see Enzo Maresca still remaining as Chelsea manager at the end of the season? Or Manchester City will snap it up should Pep Guardiola choose to leave at the end of the season? Drop your thoughts down below. Thank you very much for watching, and please don't forget to like, share and subscribe to my channel. Catch you in the next video. Bye.